Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another monthly webinar. This month, we're going to be talking about how to stay informed before, during, and after an emergency. We have a very special guest with us tonight. His name is Sandy Kenyon, and he is a technical specialist here at the Department of Emergency Management and Security. And he's going to give you a lot of great information, and it's going to be really informative. So I'll let Sandy take it away in a minute, but we have a couple introduction slides just to kind of review where we are throughout the year. Okay, so we have a couple modules today. We just did our great introductions. We're going to look at the Ready Fairfax program again, and then we're going to learn how to stay informed. We got a couple things coming up next, so we have a lot of good information to share with you at the end as well. So just to remind you, Ready Fairfax is our county's preparedness program. So we go out into the community, whether it's to do presentations or outreach events, anything in the community. So if you guys have an event coming up, you can always request us to come on the website, and we would be happy to come out and talk to your residents. So our resolve to be ready in 2023, we have a great calendar that we have been going through each month. The calendar started out in the beginning of the year just by giving a quick overview of what we were going to do throughout the year. So now we're in May, we're getting almost halfway through. We're talking about staying informed, and then coming up next, we're going to talk about getting involved. And then throughout the rest of the year, we'll have some stuff to talk about and some specific topics. But for now, we're just going to talk about staying informed during an emergency. Okay, I'm going to hand it over to Sandy, and he's going to talk a little bit about this great hierarchy, and then we'll talk about some of the resources that are specifically associated with this.
Good evening, everyone. So all emergencies or all alerting platforms start with, as the event gets worse or more severe, we pull out more tools from our toolbox. But as on a normal day-to-day basis, they're used less frequently. So at the bottom of this pyramid that you see here, social media is going to be our base. So this is Facebook, Twitter, Community Connect, all the various platforms that we'll use to communicate daily information with the county. And then as events get a little more serious, like say like a traffic alert or a road closure because there's a water main break, we will push that up to the different systems like Fairfax Alerts. And if it's a bigger event, we'll get local media involved. If it's a more life-threatening or severe event, we'll start pulling out some tools that we don't use quite as often, but we do have them at our ready, like reverse 911 phone calls, what is known as a WEA message, which stands for the Wireless Emergency Alert. You might reference that with like an Amber Alert. Well, and then at the very top would be the Emergency Alert System, which is probably what most of us are familiar about when they think of emergency alerts, that is used for over the radio and TV.
Awesome. And like Sandy said, social media has really become our base. So we do a lot of social media campaigns. You probably see we have themes that we do throughout the year. So for example, this week is actually Hurricane Preparedness Week. So we are counting down to hurricane season this week with a whole bunch of things that you can do to kind of get ready. So that starts on June 1st. So we have a lot of information that we push out. We do push out some weather-related information. So those watches and warnings that you might get from the National Weather Service. And then if there's any information during an emergency, you might actually not get it from us, but our counties at Fairfax County official sites will put that up. We also have two other resources, which is the Fairfax News Center and then also the emergency blog. So these are two places that you can go to get the most up-to-date information. And it provides a lot of info, especially if there's an emergency going on, if we needed donations, or if we were soliciting for volunteers during an emergency. This is where you would go to find all that information. So these are great things to bookmark. You can even sign up for alerts. So when and alerts when these things come out, so you can get an email when there's a new emergency blog posted. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Fairfax Alerts and just the public side of it. So Fairfax Alerts is a great tool for everyone to use. You can put in up to 5 addresses. So just think about school, work, home, any place that you might visit. If you have a baseball field that maybe you're at all the time, you can pick to get weather alerts, traffic alerts, public safety news. You can even ask to get reminded during tax season and elections. And some of our other agencies in the county do have some subscriptions where you can get additional information. So all of our weather related alerts are geo-targeted. So just because you are signed up for Fairfax Alerts and you are trying to get alerts in, say, Alexandria, but you are visiting somewhere in the north part of the county, and you might not be signed up for those alerts with an address in that north part. You're probably not going to get any weather related messages unless it's a warning, which automatically gets pushed through the National Weather Service. We also have a couple other resources that we wanted to mention to you guys. So one of them is, so we have Fairfax Alerts. The other one is Community Connect. And Community Connect is a platform where you can actually go in and report to the fire department where everything is in your home, if you have access and functional needs, if someone needs special assistance in the house. If there's any pets, you can even upload pictures of your pets. You can upload like an outline of your home, like the blueprint, so they know what they're looking for. And then also they are able to see that when they're on their way to a call. So the more information that you can provide and give to them, the better it is when they're responding to you. And then we also have the emergency health profile. So this was created and implemented a few years ago, and this is for that most critical mental health and medical information. So this is actually a platform that is attached to our dispatch center. And if you register and call from a number that you are registered with, that information will pop up on the dispatcher screen. It will only be there for the time that the call is open. So it doesn't stay there all day. We don't have a way to go in and change your information. This is a system that you have to sign up for and you maintain your own profile. So it's a really great resource. It really helps. So if you know someone who might benefit from this, feel free to sign up for it. And I'm going to turn it back over to Sandy, and he is the expert on all of this. So take it away.
So going back to the slide that we had with the pyramid, WEA or the wireless emergency alert. I'm sorry, I'm used to speaking in acronyms. The wireless emergency alerts is closer to the top. Most people associate these with either weather warnings or missing children. These are messages that come across your phone. They're just one of a few ways that we as public safety officials can make sure that we get messages out to the public. They're normally short. They're only like 360 characters long, but they can be broadcast from the cell tower to the cell phones, and we don't have to worry about other things like people opting in to receive these. Below on the slide, you're going to see a couple different examples. Like over on the left side, you're going to see an evacuation warning for a fire. This is one of the ones out in California. In the middle, you're going to see a tornado warning. And over on the right side, you're going to see something that the Virginia State, or an Amber Alert that the Virginia State Police issued. What do you need to know about WIAs? They are sent either by public safety officials, so state or local officials. They can be sent by the National Weather Service. They can be sent by the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, or they can be sent by a representative of the President of the United States. It is not a subscription-based service, so you do not need to sign up to receive a WIA alert like you do to receive a Fairfax alert. When you get a new phone, these are automatically turned on. And one of the great things about this is if you are visiting somewhere or if you're passing through a danger zone, your phone will automatically go off. So that is one of the benefits of using a wireless emergency alert. And they do have a unique tension tone, and they also have a unique vibration. So you will not confuse it with a normal text message or a phone call or any other notification that you have set up on your device. They are limited in size to 360 characters. And we always try and include the type of an emergency it is, the time of when it happened, any actions that the public needs to take when the alert is issued, and we can include that including a web link in there so you can get more information. So like if you need to see a picture or an evacuation map, we can include that in that WIA message as well. It is not affected by network congestion. So if anybody remembers as far back as when the earthquake happened, it was really hard to make a cell phone call. It's really hard to send a text message to get it out. This goes on a layer above that. So these messages will get out in case of, pardon me, this message will get out in times of emergency, and all the major carriers participate in this program. What's the difference between a text message and a wireless emergency alert? Like I said, the text or the SMS text message, you have to opt in. You have to sign up for it. It can be subject to network congestion. So if there's a big event or the cell towers or not all the cell towers are working, sometimes that message will be slower to get out, and there is no unique attention tone for that text message. WIA is not subscription. There is no network congestion. It can be specified to where you are physically located. So like as Courtney said, like if you're in Alexandria, or if you lived in Alexandria, but you're visiting Tysons, you can still receive that message when you're in the Tysons area, even though you did not set up an address in there. There's a unique tone, and depending on if you have a older 3G phone, your message will be 90 characters, and a newer one will be 360. And in Fairfax County, we have received WIA messages in the form of Amber Alerts and weather messages. For Department of Emergency Management, thankfully, we have not had an event that was big enough to send one of these messages out, but we have sent 2 tests. Actually, Fairfax County was one of the first counties in the nation to actually do a full measured test, along with our partners here in the National Capital Region. And just this past year, back in September, Fairfax County was one of 31 alerting authorities across the country to participate in an exercise with the FCC to make sure that in that alerting area that people got that message. So if you were around where the Public Safety and Transportation Center is, you may have received that message back in September. And if you filled out that questionnaire that was with it, I thank you for that, because that helped us confirm that that message got out to the public. And transitioning to the emergency alert system, this is probably one of the ones that everyone is familiar with. This is that tone that you hear either at least once a week when you're watching TV or listening to the radio station. On the screen, we have 3 examples of how that alert will present. The one with the cartoon character, that is showing a weekly test. And if you see a green color going across the screen, that means it's just a test. You do not have to worry. If you see something that's yellow, that means it's an advisory, so you probably should pay attention. It's advisory or a watch. And if it's red, that's a warning. So that means that we would like for you to take action or be prepared to take action. So like a tornado warning, get to the lowest level of your house or an interior room. If you have cable, you've probably seen this full screen message. That's a way a lot of cable companies will initiate and display those alerts. And the biggest picture and the one at the bottom, this is where this is going. This is for the next upgrade to the television service. It is the American Television Standard 3.0. Think of it like when we went from standard definition to HD. This is that movement. And from the picture, you can see that we can include maps. If you get up to use the restroom during a show or during a commercial and an alert comes out, and you return back to the couch or wherever you're watching TV, you'll be able to see that there's an icon that you missed an alert. You'll be able to click on it and get that alert. Whereas traditionally, the way that EAS works is if you're not listening to it, once that message is broadcast, it's like a one and done type thing. But this or with a newer version that should be coming out, this will allow you to see that message and get more information. And if you are in Alexandria or Springfield and that alert is happening, but you can get that information, but the folks up in Reston, Tysons, Herndon, if the storm's not affecting them, they can still go on and ignore it and watch their television program. So it is a big advancement with the emergency alert system. The emergency alert system is regulated by the FCC, and all broadcasters, radio and TV, are required to have one of these encoder decoder devices to air the EAS message. The FCC is the Federal Communications Commission. They are the ones who anything that's broadcasted across the airwaves, they're the ones who regulate and make sure that everything is playing within bounds, and they enforce the rules that Congress sets for the broadcasters. Broadcasters voluntarily carry the messages that we send out or the Weather Service sends out, but they are required to carry the national messages from like a presidential emergency declaration. They also provide the common alerting protocol. That is how the messages are built and transmitted over the internet. So that is where pictures are included, extra information saying Main Street is flooded, please seek shelter at West Springfield High School. You can include audio attachments, and it is capable of handling additional languages. Right now, FEMA only officially supports English and Spanish, but French, Russian, German, Chinese, Vietnamese, they are all supported with that as well. We are just waiting for the FCC or the Federal Communications Commission and the Federal Emergency Management Agency to put that in writing of how the broadcasters are going to relay that to the public. EAS or Emergency Alert System does cover a wide area. This is a map showing where you can pick up WTOP, and you can see that that stretches. The red line is the strongest part of that signal. You can see it stretches from the northern part of Montgomery County all the way down to Stafford and Charles County. So it includes a larger area than just Fairfax County. So that is why this one way of alerting the public is at the very top. It will only be used for very serious and widespread events. But you might be asking yourself, this is good, but how do I make sure I stay in touch with my family and friends during times of emergency? I will strongly recommend that you have a physical phone list of your important contacts and not just rely on looking it up in your cell phone. Just in case the power goes out and you lose charge in your cell phone, you still need to get a hold of somebody that is out of this area, out of the danger zone, to let them know that you're safe. You will want that list so you can remember their phone numbers. I only remember like 3 phone numbers, and one of them is not my wife's, unfortunately. But just make sure you have a physical written down contact. And then there are a couple different radios, whether it's like the walkie-talkies. There's what is known as the Family Radio Service, or FRS radio. There's no license required for these. You can find them easily at Walmart, Target, Cabela's, anywhere, or a lot of the stores will carry these. Only problem is they're limited in range. Max range for these are maybe about a mile. Line of sight, so you kind of have to see them. So look, on a highway, you can't be too far away from each other, and it doesn't really transmit through buildings too well. The next level up is called the General Mobile Radio Service, or GMRS. These have a higher wattage, which means you can get better range on them. They come in various style of radios, where you can get a handheld walkie-talkie type, or you can get one that you can mount in your vehicle, whether it's your pickup truck, your golf cart, your dune buggy. A lot of folks will use these, and these are kind of what's replacing the Citizens Band radio or the CB radio. They also use repeaters. So what a repeater is, it's a centralized tower that you communicate with, and it has an even stronger signal than what your handheld radio does. So you can communicate with a much larger area to get that signal out to check on those loved ones. There is a license required for that, and it's $35 from the Federal Communications Commission, but that's good for 10 years, and it covers everybody in your immediate family. So your spouse, your kids, parents, brothers, sisters, they would all be covered by one license. And then the next level up from that is known as amateur radio. There are multiple frequency bands to use. It varies in range from a couple miles to even, if the conditions are right, you can communicate halfway around the world, or almost all the way around the world. There are tests that you need to take to prove that you have a certain level of knowledge with these from the FCC, but that will allow you to communicate. And also, for us as a county, we have the amateur radio emergency services, or known as ARES. And this is a group of volunteers that we asked to join and help us communicate in times of trouble. And I'm sorry. and this is just one of the ways that you can volunteer and help out. Um, and I think I will turn this back over to Courtney.
We actually have several questions. So I don't think that these are questions for me, but let's pop a few up and then we'll take a look. So does the SERG still have the fillable PDF in the appendix for phone lists and other information? Yes, it does. Two things that you can do with that. You can download it just as a separate fillable form. You can print it out and put it in your emergency bag, or you can save it digitally. But as soon as you X out of that and go back to our home screen, none of that information is saved. So you want to make sure that you at least either take a screenshot or print it out for yourself. Do bomb shelters still exist? I'm sure that they exist, but we are not educated in Fairfax County to be able to talk about them or lead the public to them during an emergency. So I would table that question and we can definitely follow up with you after this. All right. So a couple things that we have going on next. So we have our Business Continuity Awareness Week coming up, and we're going to do a special webinar with Avery Church, and he is our Fairfax County COOP, and that's Continuity of Operations manager. So he's going to tell us all about how we can not only make sure that we have continuity plans for the government, but also for businesses and houses of worship in Fairfax County. We also have a really great set of calendar events that's coming up. We have a lot of things going on. We have a couple introduction to preparedness classes that are happening around the county. And we have a couple Until Help Arrives classes as well. So if you visit our Ready Fairfax page and scroll down just a little bit, you'll see all of our upcoming events. You can click on it for more information. The classes have an Eventbrite so that you can sign up and we can send you a reminder so that you don't forget you signed up. And just keep checking back, and we add stuff to that all the time. So we look forward to giving you guys kind of a full agenda for the rest of the year. And that is going to be it for our webinar tonight. We have a lot of things that we can talk about, but we want to keep these nice and short and sweet and digestible because if we give too much information at once, it's not going to do us much good. So we really look forward to having our special webinar in a couple weeks with Avery to talk about continuity awareness. And then we're really going to, get into our next topic at our next webinar, which is going to be the first Wednesday in June. And that will be kind of exciting because hurricane season has started and we might get to take a look at what is happening out in the Atlantic Ocean. Thank you guys for joining us, and we look forward to having you on again.